to the 293 Code Podcast, and today's episode is
we're going to be talking about relationships while dealing with mental health issues at the same time.
I think that's important, especially with the pandemic that we had. Well, now we're in post, should I say. But let's talk about it.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's get right into it. You know, being in a relationship is already hard because you're dealing with two individuals who coming from like two different aspects of life. But then on top of that, if you're dealing with your own mental health and you're struggling with it and you still trying to figure out like how to cope with yourself, how do you really know how to cope with another person in a relationship? Think about it.
That's true. Live with them. I believe living with them.
Is it like living with them or dealing with them? Because I mean, if you think about it, right, relationships they're hard. You know, every day it's a different day when you wake up. You have to deal with mood swings. You have to deal with what are you going to do during the day? How are you going to make yourself happy? How are you going to make that person happy? But on top of that, also being able to put yourself first in a relationship.
That's true. A lot of people don't. I mean, here's a prime example. We go on a date, right? You know, when I walk in the door, I see this beautiful woman, and the first thing I think about is I got to put on my representative. I got to be on my best behavior, right? So they're not going to get the true, authentic you.
Right.
They're going to get some robotic resume, what not to do and what to do.
But if you think about it though, that's a good point that you brought up, Charity, because like you meet somebody and then the first thing you do, you give them the interview representation, right? But where do it comes along? Is it on the first date, maybe a second date, and that person really like you, that you have that discussion of like, hey, I have mental health issues, because you still getting to know a person and they may already, it's like you cannot avoid it where when two people meet, you go through that honeymoon stage. Everybody look at the qualities of what they like about a person. They don't want to hear the dislike shit. They don't want to hear, you know, the baggage that come along with it, with what you're dealing with in real life aspect. They just only want to know the good stuff. So where is it and when and what time is it to bring that for it? Because for some people it's uncomfortable to hear about, oh, you got mental health problems, because then sometimes people are like downplay it by saying, you know what, I'm crazy too, I got anxiety, I suffer from depression here and there, but I get by. This is what I do. I may smoke a little weed, or you know,
that's true.
I may meditate for a little bit, or I watch my, you know, or I may listen to my favorite podcast. And
or they could be the type of person that want to just try to fix you because they ain't fixed themselves.
Yeah, well, they try to put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know what? You bring me joy, I bring you joy. So let's just go along with that. That's like that coping mechanism of like codependency, you know, in a small amount, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, well, when we're around each other, we make each other happy. So let's just deal with that. Forget what else I got going on mentally. I don't have to go see a therapist. I don't have to work through my problem because you make me happy. Sometimes a lot of people get in a relationship just because it's like the other person make them happy. So they think like, hey, this is our story. This is our fantasy. This is us. We're going to be together forever. But if you're not really talking about what's really going on with you as an individual, how are you supposed to be in a relationship with a person? And some people move hella fast. You know what I'm saying? You could be talking to a person for 3 weeks and that's, you know, they're like, hey, let's move in together.
Yeah, but that's a red flag.
It's a red flag, but it also shows like, what are you running away from? Because that also goes into abandonment. When a person is ready to move so fast because they haven't dealt with abandonment issues, they're going to make sure like, hey, you see me for me. I'm not going to let you leave. I'm going to will you in. We're going to stick together because I don't want to be left alone no more.
That's true.
You know? And it's like, you know, relationships are hard because you don't really know people for who they are, but people go straight into dating. But whatever happened to courting? Why not court a person and get to know them?
Because a lot of people don't know what court is. Or here's the other thing, people are so afraid to be with themselves, just lonely. I feel like they put a whole new definition. I'm by myself and nobody cares, nobody likes me. That's not exactly what it is, but that's the reason why people don't court anymore. They go out and they say, you know what, if you got your representative on, how are you going to court?
No, you're exactly right. But here's the thing too, though. If you sit here and you think about it, the reason why relationships doesn't work out, the reason why marriage doesn't work out is because everybody try to rush the process because they're scared.
That's true.
But the most valuable thing that people miss out of all of it is that stop putting titles on stuff, because titles don't mean anything. If you with an individual that you love and you care about, take time to enjoy each other, because you know all you have at the end of the day that's going to make you draw more to each other are the memories. Memories are more important in a relationship than anything else, because when you dead and gone, you can't take nothing else with you.
That's true. That is so true.
You know what I'm saying? So really get to know a person for who they really are, because that's how you value each other. And sometimes those steps get missed because it's all about the favorite word, expectation. People nowadays come into a relationship with a grocery list on what you can do for them. it's all about them. They forget about the us.
Yeah, because they don't know them. So they want somebody to come in and do all the work that they don't want to do on themselves.
Right.
And that's unfair.
And that's from the mental aspect. When you're a person that's dealing with mental health issues and you listen to a person that's coming in with their grocery list and you hear, well, this is what I want. This is what I want. You never want, you know what I'm saying? Or they say, well, this is what I need. This is what I need.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can't do that to an individual, because a person with mental health issues who trying to find their way, or if they've always been a caretaker in life, they're going to try to give you everything that's coming out of your mouth. But is it really benefiting the both of you? No. They're just trying to make you happy. And that's where people get stuck.
That's true.
Because 9 times out of 10, there's a small percentage of couples where it's 50-50 where both parties are happy. It's more like 70-30.
Yeah, it's never going to be, I feel like in relationships, it's never going to be 50-50. Regardless on how much work. There's going to be a give and pull, and then there's going to be like months or days or years where you're going to have to carry the load.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like, people always say it's a 50-50. How the fuck is a 50-50? Explain that.
Yeah, and it should never be, it should never be 50-50. It should be a whole package. You both should come in giving each other 100%. Because you know what? If you asking somebody, say, hey, we're supposed to be 50-50, then that means that you only want half of me when I'm worth a whole $1. So if I only got to give you 50 cents, right? If I only got to give you that 50%, you're not getting all of me. I'm only giving you what you want. But you know what? The other 50% of me should be giving you what you need. And sometimes what you need is not always bright and happy.
Yeah, that's true.
It'll be me telling you about yourself and vice versa. You telling me about myself. But it can't be to where you trying to tell me about myself and then you don't want to hear about yourself. Because that happens a lot in relationships.
That does. I see that a lot. I have dealt with that a lot.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like it can't be like that. But then it's hard when you get engaged with a person and y'all really engaged where you think you know each other, but you haven't dealt with the mental aspect of it. And the only time the mental piece come up is when you're arguing with each other. Then both parties stepping on, tippy-toeing around the situation because it's uncomfortable to talk about, because you don't know each other on that level to be comfortable enough to just say, hey, you need to go get therapy. Hey, we need to go get therapy. Do the individual part and the couple part.
Well, that's where it goes back to stop sending your representative in to meet, the man or the woman or whoever you're going on a date with. Stop sending that, because at the end of the day, you need to really have you
right
when you show up, because they're going to show you some things and you're going to show them some things. But you got to be also, this is where you got to know yourself. And that's what we talked about that last week, was identity. Like, who are you?
Yeah, you're right.
And so that goes hand in hand when you're doing a relationship. So I just feel like we just go in there like expect, like you said, expectation. And then when we don't get that, we're like disappointed, right?
Right.
But who are we disappointed with? Ourselves. Shouldn't we be?
Exactly. Because you know what? This is what I tell people. Never go into a relationship giving somebody else expectations that you don't put on yourself.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, that's how it normally is. And what? The relationship go from sugar to shit.
It does go from sugar to shit.
You know what I'm saying? It literally go from sugar to shit because, coming into it with expectations when you shouldn't even be on that level yet. You still trying to get to know each other, but people move so fast. Or, you get people, you see these reality shows, right? You get people who probably only known each other for a year or two, and they talking about, well, they should put a ring on it. We should be engaged. Whoa, slow down. You still getting to know each other.
Yeah, that's just a horrible, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a horrible show.
It's just like,
it's entertaining.
What's the rush?
Insecurities. I need somebody to put that Band-Aid on, where I need someone to love me. But if you don't love yourself, how the fuck is this person going to love you?
Yeah. And then you get the runners. The runners are the ones that jump from one relationship to the next relationship to the next relationship, but they'll sit there and claim that they done gained something from each relationship. But it's never about what they done did. It's always about what the other person did to them. That's why you call them the runners.
Wouldn't that be a narcissist? Following the line of the narcissist, too.
A little bit. But also, on top of that, depending on other underlying issues a person may be going through. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Because, a narcissist, they never do anything wrong.
Yeah, there's so many types of narcissists, though.
They got that victimism in them. But it's just like, but that's the whole thing, too. It's like, why not when people decide to get in a relationship, the first thing that should be discussed is not about what's your favorite color and what you like. You can get into what you like to do. But the first thing that should be on the list is, how is your mental? And most people may think that's weird, but it's really not, though.
No, you're
really
right.
Not.
You're so right.
If a person can't talk about their mental status, that's almost like nowadays, that's a red flag, honestly. Because you don't want to be with somebody, say for instance, you invest in somebody for like 5-6 months, and then like 7 months in, going on to like 9 months later, a person have an episode that you never knew anything about, and then they get offended because you gonna be like, man, you crazy as hell. And then they pop off, but you don't, you know what I'm saying? They may knew that they had these issues, or they try to underline it, like I get angry sometimes or whatever, don't piss me off. But it's like, but if I piss you off, what's going to happen? Because you know what I'm saying? It goes to like, what's your triggers?
It go from sugar to shit real quick.
Exactly. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's just like, come on now.
Right.
But people don't want to talk about that. Forget your birthdays. Forget, you know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, you got to know how many kids people be having these days, because they be popping them out like Pop-Tarts. But, you know what I'm saying? But the thing of it is, that should be another thing that people should seriously ask. Is like, hey, how was your mental status? Like, real talk.
Shit, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people don't know.
They ain't got it.
They know that, they were frustrated, or this relationship made them this way. That's a lot of excuses and a lot of shit that I hear. This relationship made me this way, or I'm so stressed out. So a lot of people don't know. And so when they get into another relationship, like you said, the runner, runners are good for a moment. They're good for that one moment. Like everything's good, and then they bounce, when it's not good. And a lot of people, like you said, they'll blame the other person for why they didn't stay. And really, at the end of the day, it's your mental. And so, like, I just feel like a lot of people don't know.
A lot of people don't know. But then at the same time, when you sit there and you tell people like, hey, I want to get to know you for who you are, I want to take things slow, people be looking at you sideways, like something wrong with that. Or like, they thinking that you want to go out there and have fun and talk to this person and that person, or you ain't ready to commit. Nah, it's okay to do things different.
Yeah.
If you seriously trying to be with an individual, it's okay to take things slow. It's like nowadays you see like people rushing. What's
the rush for? What's the hurry for? I'm trying to.
Okay, let me tell you this. Okay, like, for an example, you see people out here that they rush to get married, they rush to want to have kids, they rush to want to have a family, buy a house, and do all this stuff they see on TV.
But are they happy, though?
Exactly. But the first question is, what has broke you? Because there's a part of you that's broken. Because you feel you need all these things right away. And you feel like, well, I'm getting older and time is not on my side. Well, if time ain't on your side, then you better enjoy what you got now and make the best of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's not fair to bring all these pieces together if they don't work. That's you know what I'm saying? That's like you telling me, you giving me Lego bricks, and then you giving me cement bricks to tell you to build you a clubhouse when you know these pieces ain't gonna go together. Now, I'm gonna build you a clubhouse. It may not fit perfectly, but I gave you what you wanted. So that's why I'm just saying, like, with relationships, Relationships are hard, but some people thinking like, oh, well, we're going through this and that right now, but if we get married, it's going to make it better. Now you just reset the honeymoon stage button, but you still got the same problems.
A lot of people think that if we get married, then it will get better. This person will stop cheating. This person will stop doing this. Like, we'll stop arguing. We'll probably have more sex. At the end of the day, you really do have to check your temperature, and that means your mental.
Yeah, you really do.
Because really, it has nothing to do with your other partner at the end of the day.
You got to look at it like this. You got to want a person to want you in a relationship, not need you. Because
that's so right.
You want a person to actually want you, but it's different from telling a person what you want them to do. They got to literally want you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not good either, because that's unhealthy. You could tell a person all day, well, this is what I want from you. They can give it to you because you asked for it. Then it could be like, well, I gave you what you wanted. What's next? Like I said, the grocery list.
Yeah, but if it's a grocery list and you go through all that list and then you add in more stuff and then you tell, here's a prime example. I dealt with this a lot. Like, it's the grocery list where a motherfucker said, well, you don't do this or you don't do that or do that. You don't like me. You don't love me no more. Then when you do those things, then they find something else that you are not doing.
Right.
And so it becomes a cycle. Like, it's constantly a cycle where you're not doing this or you're not. It's always a cycle. So regardless how much you do for a person to show that you love a person, it still ain't gonna be enough.
But you just put the head on the nail. It's just like when you said about love a person. That's another thing in a relationship that goes deep and hard. Mm-hmm. When you're in a relationship with somebody and you know your mental is not right, you jump into a relationship and you sit here and you're thinking like, okay, this person is going to show me what love is because I never had it. Mm-hmm. Or I never was engaged in it, right? People move fast with that all the time. People say, I love you all the time. Mm. People say it. Some people, it's just in their normal vocabulary.
Yeah.
But have you really sit down and ask a person like, you say you love me. Tell me what love is. Don't give me the categories of why you love me, because that's simple. Anybody can do that. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But when you break it down and you want to be, the definition of what true love is for you to me, it's got to be deep. It's got to be deeper than just saying, oh, I love the way you talk to me. I love the way you smell. I love the way you cook. That's basic stuff.
Yeah, but it goes back to they don't even know themselves. So how are you going to say, like, I want you to love me deep? They don't even love themselves deep. So when they come up with that basic stuff, guess what? They love themselves basic too.
Yeah, true. But sometimes you could tell the most hurt from a person when they sit there and they tell you, like, you see couples and they be like, oh, we in love. We love each other. I love you. I love you. And they probably been together for only 2 months. And it's just like, do you really know what love is? Do you really know what love is?
Isn't that called love at first sight?
That too. But I'm saying, like, the reality shows are really messing up people's heads and generally, because the simple fact of it is, you think about it, right? You get these people who's been single for so long, and they traumatized from being single and feel like they need to be with somebody because they feel like they're running out of time. These reality shows put these people on there. They falling in love within the first week. You know what I'm saying? Then they put them in a reality where it's like, okay, you're going to live together for this amount of weeks. And then you're going to talk, boom, marriage. People are really thinking like that's how fast everything should move and pop off. But in between that time, you're really not knowing everything about the individual that you're with.
No, you're creating chaos at that point.
And then at the same time, because in the beginning when you met each other, you went to the interview stage, then you're trying to hold up that persona of what you gave them from day one, from the first week. But then people, you know what? You start to fall off because you only can hold it up for so long. You know what I'm saying? You only can hold it up for so long. But then it's like, if you're a real individual and you telling a person up front, like, hey, I know you want to be with me, I want to be with you, but to be with all of me, this is everything that comes with me. Most people can't accept that.
That's true.
They can't accept that. People thinking like, hey, I'll give you the world. I'll give you everything. When you hear people say stuff like that, it's just like, what you running from? What can you give me that I don't already have? What can you give me, especially to a person who suffered from severe depression, that wake up every day just saying, you know what, I just got to make it through the day. What you think gonna make that individual happy? If they can't give it to themselves, what make you think you can give it to them?
Damn, that's deep though.
You know what I'm saying? But that's how the mental work though. And especially being a mental health person and trying to be in a healthy relationship, your partner have to go through that struggle with you. Because the thing of it is, you wake up every day, like I said, once again, it's a different day. You don't know how you're going to be. You don't know how your day going to go. Then you got to be able to tolerate the person that you will, but go out into society at the same time. Come back, decompress, and bring it all in.
That's true.
Sometimes that's too hard for partners to relate to the person who's struggling with their mental, because at the same time, that person who's struggling may not be able to be there for you in the time you may want them to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? And so people got to understand that it's hard. Because in the beginning, when you tell somebody, oh, I got this, that going on, you know what I'm saying? They be like, oh, you know, I'm here for you. What do that actually mean?
That's true. What does that mean?
It's just a phrase. And some people may say, well, no, it's not a phrase. It's a phrase. Because when somebody's really going through a mental health crisis, or they're really going through a hard time in their life, there is nothing in this world that you can say to them that's going to cheer them up to make them be like, you know what, I feel better now. I'm going to go outside and plant some flowers. Or I feel better now. I'm about to go get some ice cream. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
The trauma or whatever you've been dealing with in your life, no matter who you with or who you trying to be with, no matter if your partner, spouse, whoever is trying to understand what you're going through in that moment, nothing is going to make you feel better, because you know what? If you really want to understand them, you got to go along with them in that journey, but you got to sit in the passenger seat while they drive you along. That's
true. But see, here's the thing. Why it makes it so hard. Like, especially if you're with a partner that doesn't do their work, and even you know they struggle, they know they struggle, and they're not doing their part. And at the end of the day, like like Bonnie said, you gotta, like, you're not gonna give, like, there's days like your partner's not gonna have 50-50, so you're gonna have to bring that 100 or that 75 or 85 to the relationship.
And that's what a real relationship is. It's not 50-50. It's 200%. You know, like you said, if your partner is down and they can't give their 100 today, you say, hey, I got the 100 for you. You know, you come that bond. But you can't be in a relationship and then letting your partner know when they're down and out, like, hey, you got to do something. Get up. It's hard to get up when the depression got you taped down to that bed. It's hard to get up and be there for yourself, yet alone if you got a family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a catch-22 in your own head, how to juggle everything.
Right.
But it's also harder when you in a relationship. It's harder when you even in a marriage, you know. But the thing of it is that sometimes people forget that, like, hey, just because you can say your husband dealing with PTSD and you may be dealing with general anxiety, that's totally two different things that you guys struggling with right there. But that's when you got to sit down at the table to be like, you know what? How can we come together to help each other? Not, no, I'm here for you. Because you can tell a person you here for them, but what do that even mean?
Really, what does that mean?
What do it mean? Now, your other spouse may not know, like, what to do. There's no shade on them. If a person meant like, hey, I don't know how to be, I don't know what to do. If you tell me what you need from me, I can help. But don't be overbearing with it. Don't be overwhelming with it. That's fine. You know, that's part of communicating and getting on the same page. But people have to understand that, like, you know, when you say you want to get in a relationship with somebody, you got to take all of them for what they're worth.
That you do.
You really have to, because you hear so many times people say, hey, how the relationship going? Because you know what? Everybody remember you when you was happy and you smiling, your eyes are glowing and everything, because you in that interview moment, and so is that other person. But as weeks taper off, you come back to the drawing board and be like, well, it's going all right. You know how things get. You still stuck. It may be a different person, but the same situation.
That's true. And here's another thing that I hear a lot of, and suicide with relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, your partner was so happy, and you can be like, yeah, my partner was so happy. My partner was just so happy. My partner did all this. My partner made a lot of money, was like so, outgoing, people person. How did this happen?
Most of the time, how it happened is because one person in the relationship took on all the responsibility. Other times, it's just that, this is why it's important for you to know each other's mental health. Whether you really know yourself or not, it's okay. Everybody don't know themselves. Hell, we all still learning about ourselves. You still every day learn something new about yourself. Mm-hmm. You still learning the process.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? But where it comes down to is, let's say it's the husband, because from the golden ages, where mm-hmm. the man was supposed to provide for the family.
Yeah.
The wife was the housewife, took care of the kids, cleaned the house, cooked, and did all that stuff or whatever. Well, now in modern day, in generation now, you got a lot of independent women. You got a lot of independent males, and then now you got it to where the wife is like the provider, mm-hmm. and the male may be at home taking care of the kids or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? But the thing of it is that once again, when you're in a relationship, gay, straight, it doesn't matter who doing what. It still got to be equal to it. You got husbands, you got wives out here committing suicide because they just feeling like they're a failure if they get laid off, or if you get a pay cut, or bills piling up. They really out here, committing suicide because it's too much pressure.
They get overwhelmed. They
feel like they fail their families. That's a lot to take on. But then it's like at the same time, it's like, you also see in relationships where it's like, if a person is doing all the providing, then they feeling like they're not getting their worth because you know what? They don't have the time to go on dates and sit down and rekindle that, getting to know each other and say, how your day going? Hey, once you get in that relationship and you've been in it for so long and you haven't dealt with if you haven't dealt with the toxicity, then you're pretty much a robot.
That's true.
And nothing gets talked about.
Especially I can say this, being a domestic engineer, which is a stay-at-home parent, right? I did that for, years. And you do, as a stay-at-home parent, whether you're a male or a female, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
You lose a sense of who you are. You get depressed. Because you're trying to keep up with everything. And of course, when you try to explain to your husband, wife, or significant other, whoever is on the other end, they don't get it.
No, because it's supposed to be like, well, this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
There is no law about what you're supposed to do inside your own home.
That's true.
It's all about communicating, coming up with a game plan that works for both parties,
mm-hmm.
and building from that. Have that positive structure. Just like when... you think about it. Being in a relationship, being married, let's talk about joint bank accounts. What you think about that?
Oh, no, I won't do that.
I did. I never do it again.
I won't do that. I'm going to be honest with you. If something was to go down, you got to keep things separate.
You really do. And it's not even about not trusting who you with.
Right.
You can have a joint account for bills and stuff to come out. I think that's healthy. But having one account for everything is just kind of it's not healthy for both parties.
No.
There is nothing healthy about that at all, because where's the independence yet?
Yeah.
It's more of a mental strain on one person or both parties than healthy.
If you think about it, having just one bank account and having things come out, that causes havoc on the relationship.
But it's almost like the other person got to ask when they need to use the card.
Yeah, no, that's mm-mm.
You know, I've been through that, and I was just like, nah, never again. Like, that ain't even cool.
Yeah, no, that within itself, because maybe you want to go get something or do something for yourself, because that day you are having a hard day and you want to take yourself out to a spa, or like I call it, date yourself. I used to take myself out to the movies.
Hey, but you know what? That's not a bad idea, though. That's what people probably need to get back to. Date yourself for a while.
A lot of people ain't gonna like themselves.
But you know what? In order to do that, you got to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
Because some people who just think they're like, hey, I'm just immaculate. You know what I'm saying? And they really not. It's more conceited, or they got like an ego that really doesn't fit to be around anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really truly date yourself and be open to the process, you will learn some stuff about yourself. But you know what? That's something that I don't think a lot of people are willing to do. They'll rather go out here and date other people and they just blame it on everybody on why it didn't work out and what went wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, it's peaceful. The thing is, like, being a stay-at-home parent, you know, I had to get used to when I went out to the movies. Like, I had this, like, okay, what did not get done at the house? You know, did I forget to do something?
Right.
You know, what kid, you know, needed to be picked up? Or did I forget to send somebody's lunch? Or did the cats eat? Or did you know, is all these things did I take the mom out? You know, like all these things. Did I give her her plate? Like, and then this guilt starts setting in, and then all of a sudden you're drained emotionally, right? And then you don't want to do it. So what I learned to do, like, more and more was, because I used to go to the movies. I love the movies.
Movies too expensive now, though. We in a recession.
I have free tickets.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, keep going to the movies.
I have free tickets. So just when that rises, I know the level of stress, anxiety it puts on me, right? So I have to tell myself, you know what? It's nothing I can do right now. I need to have a mental shutdown, or I'm going to have a mental breakdown.
Right. But one thing, too, I think people forget is just that, like, you have to be open to people about your mental.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I mean, if you really care about a person and you be like, oh, they cool people, hey, you want to know about their mental too.
Oh, I'm
like real talk. Because some people know how to cover it up and they know they got something wrong with them. But but they try to fight and throw that coat over their issues because they really want to be with that person so bad they'll do anything, you know, to be with that one person. They would sacrifice themselves to be with that one person. It's just like, if you got to do all that, it's not healthy. But you know what? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I really think we're good together. There's a lot of qualities about you I like. There's a lot of qualities about you that bring out in me that I never knew I had. But it's okay to be like, you know what? Maybe we don't fit together right now, but later down the road, we will. And that's okay, because that's actually healthy. But if the other person ain't willing to work on themselves, you know what I'm saying, then it's just like, how long do you really wait? You know, you got to keep pushing on.
That's true.
So it's just kind of like, the thing of it is that people really got to realize, though, when it comes to relationship, when it comes to marriage, if your partner, spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend, boyfriend, if they don't know how to put themselves first and love themselves fully, don't put that expectation on them to give you that if they can't give it to themselves.
Right.
It's never going to work, because then that person is going to be forced to give you what you want and need in that moment in time. And you know what? A couple of days later, you can be back to square one, going over the same argument that you went from of what you felt like you wouldn't get from that person.
That's true.
And if you keep going on the merry-go-round and jumping off and getting back on, then you really got to sit down at the table together and reevaluate what the hell you doing.
That is so true.
Because sometimes people fight so hard for something because they don't want to be alone because of abandonment, or they just tired of being by themselves, so they'll just put up with the shit. Mm-hmm. And be miserable as hell But all you doing is tearing yourself back down from where you done built yourself up to be able to walk again. Now you done went back to crawling. Now you done went back to that codependency to somebody having to hold you.
Right. I think people need to be real careful before you get into any relationship. Make sure you do your self work on yourself. Yeah. I mean, get to know you. I mean, through in and out, peel your layers of onions, understand what you don't like, dislike, what hurts you, what makes you cry, what makes you happy, and with all those emotions, because at the end of the day, it's going to determine what type of partner you're going to pick up. Really, it is. That type of person, if you don't do your self journey, you're going to find someone who haven't did their self journey and don't know themselves. So you got all these expectations bouncing against each other. Yeah. And then that affects your mental.
It does.
It affects your mental. And you be like, well, I was never like this. You may be right. You may be right. You probably wasn't like this. But when you meet someone that takes you through the ringer, drag you through the mud, and then sit there and act like nothing happened, that's going to fuck with your mental.
Yeah, because you know what? Like, I never really knew how, like, back when I was younger, like, how bad my mental really was. You know, most people just think, like, oh, you taking medication, you should be good. It's deeper than that. Right. Because I can be in a whole-ass relationship and disassociate the whole relationship.
Oh, shit.
To where it would be just constantly, they just be saying, like, you don't remember I told you this? Oh, we just did this right. Blah. Oh, okay. But see, for me, being in a relationship was caretaking.
That's another form of mental, though, right?
Right. I mean, you could tell me that you love me, but you know what? In that moment in time, what did that really mean? It bounced off me. It was just a word. You know what I'm saying? Because I never really took the time to understand love. Because love was foreign to me. I knew how to be in a relationship and be the caretaker. But then it's just like you get to a point where, like, when you caretaking for so long to be with somebody, you willing to do whatever. And you actually found the one person that was actually giving you true love, true meaning. You don't know how to accept it. You don't know what to do with it.
That's true.
So you feel stuck. Not stuck in a way of being nice. You really feel stuck like, damn, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
Because it's uncomfortable now.
True.
Because you're so used to just surviving. Skating by, telling people what they want to hear. But when you actually get with a person that is like, they really make you think on that level, you be like, I found my match.
Right.
Now I got to really put in the work. This is where I want to be. Yeah. But beforehand, you know what I'm saying, when you're young and you're going from relationship to relationship and you just trying to be with somebody because of abandonment issues and you want somebody to love you like how you see how it is when you watching Family Matters. And everybody coming together and they just, you know, love and it's just like
you want that. You want that stability, but especially for black people and black men, black women. We dealt with so much trauma and toxicity, like we don't get love like that, you know. Yeah. So we will look for it, and hopefully we find it. And then when we don't find it, you're kind of pretty much there, like you don't know what to think.
Just like, okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. What you think about this? Because you know, this is just an opinion of mine, and I just feel like, you know, it's like one of those things where it's just kind of like I dissect or whatever. Just like when you first meet a person, right? And it's just like, you know, like we call it the honeymoon stage and the interview process. And you know, like you go out with a person a couple of times or whatever, and you know, people go out. They do the whole flower method. They open a door, hold your hand, and all that. People get so hypnotized by that so fast. Oh, this person really care about me. That's so cute. Blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. That's not real. That's just a phase.
If that's not who that person really is, genuinely, like, you can only carry on that facade for so long.
Right.
Honestly.
Like I said, And you got a small percentage of, people out here that really do it cold-heartedly and
Right.
cherish the person that they with. But I'm just saying that, like, in general aspect, when people are doing that right off the bat from the beginning, and they're just like, that's gonna fade. That shit gonna fade. And when they stop doing it, what happens is when you get in that first argument, your partner bring up, well, you used to do this for me. You used to open the door. You used to, like, sweep me off my feet. Hey, that wasn't them. They just doing what they seen to get you. You got.
Like, why can't you open up your own door?
Right?
Why can't you sweep yourself off your own feet? I'm just being honest. Like, why can't you do these things? Why are you going to have to wait for somebody to come and do them for you?
Right. And I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with those things, but, like, that kind of stuff right there is kind of fake. Now, here's the thing. This is the genuine part. If a person is sitting there, they cooking for you, home cooked meals, they may say, hey, here go your plate. That's kind of more genuine than, like, let me get the door for you. Let me close it for you. Let me pull out your seat. That don't mean that a person love you and care about you. That's them being nice for the situation.
Yeah, because what if I don't like you one day?
Right, all that stop.
Yeah.
What if we get in an argument? All that stop.
No, I may have to open the door and slam that bitch on you.
You know what I'm saying?
Pull the chair out and hopefully you sit there and I ain't pulling it back in.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, just those little small things, that's kind of like a fantasy that most people live, though.
Right.
It's just like, get to know me for me.
Right.
Get to know the bluntness, just the hardcoreness of everything, just like, that's who I am. Not saying that it's right or perfect, but at least you'll know who the real me is. Not the fake shit, the real me.
Yeah.
And I think people disregard that. And that's why I said, that's why people shouldn't come into a relationship with expectations, because the expectations are false.
They're so false because we got our representative. When we go into a job, for a job interview, we are sending our best self in there, right? We're not sending our authentic self. We're sending our best self because we got to try to win this interviewer over so we can get the job.
Yeah.
And the same thing with relationships. I think it's the same way with life. If you don't know yourself, you go in there in a date, you got to send your best self.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you want to make sure that she pick you the top winner, which is so toxic now that I think about it.
Yeah.
It's
and
so
then the other thing, you know what? Insecurities in a relationship.
Oh, shit. I can go on that shit for days.
I mean, because you think about it, you know what I'm saying? If you're already dealing with mental health issues and then you got to worry about your partner, it's like going out in public or whatever, and that person be like, well, why you have to make it known for people to know that y'all are together? As long as y'all know y'all together, y'all came here together, y'all leaving together, and there's nobody disrespecting each other as, while y'all out together, what's the problem? Like, literally, what's the problem?
People been alone for so long, and they want people to know that, hey, I got somebody. I finally got somebody. Because,
sometimes, you've seen in the older generations, like our grandparents and stuff, when you seen them go out in public together or whatever, it's like, they didn't do all that. They knew, everybody knew who was with who. It was no disrespect. It was always a line of respect there,
Yeah.
And I know this generation is different and stuff like that, but it just comes to, like, you can't be in a relationship with insecurities either.
Nah, you can't.
Because it's like everybody comes from another relationship where they done had damage, where, stuff just didn't go right. And they're going to bring a little bit of that with them because maybe they hadn't did their work.
A little bit.
Jump right into another relationship right away.
No, they're going to bring it all with them.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like you get into a relationship with somebody and that person's still bringing up their ex, their past, what was done wrong. You're not healed.
Or here's the other thing I've seen where if you don't do something for someone, they're like, you don't love me.
Oh, yeah.
You don't care about me.
But that goes back to abandonment. It goes back to trauma.
Right. Or insecurity.
Insecurity.
And I used to hear this a lot. I have people lined up ready to take your place.
Wow.
Back then, that affected me, right? Mentally, that really fucked me up.
Right.
Because then that made me turn into, like, I got to do more. So I was running my fingers into the bone.
Right.
But then when you come about it, it's just like, shit, this shit ain't got shit to do with me. Let the motherfucker take it. You know? So there's, like, in relationship, it's just, you got to really, like, do your work. Do your work on yourself. Do your damn work. Learn how to be alone by yourself.
Yeah.
And appreciate that.
Because it's like this. If a person can appreciate that you working on yourself and working on your mental, they're not the right ones for you.
Nah. And here's the other thing, too. If you're working on your mental, you're in a relationship, you're working on your mental, but your partner's not working on their mental, that's That's
very hard.
You're hitting dead end walls constantly.
No, that's very hard. That's like you saying, hey, I want to lose, 20 pounds, but you still eating fast food.
Yeah.
You don't exercise.
Yeah.
That's how hard it is to be in a relationship with somebody who's not working on their mental, but want to put all the focus and pinpoint on what you're not doing and how fucked up you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And you're right. That goes on a lot in relationships. It really do. You see that a lot where one person is just like, I'm trying to make it work. But every time, I do something, this person is over here telling me what I'm not doing. They're not happy.
Yeah. They'll tell you like, and I tell this to everyone, everybody, and the reason why we push this so much, do your work, because you can get in a relationship with a person and you can sit there and you can do everything. They can say, well, you're not doing this right. You'll do all those 3 things and still they'll come back with another thing you're not doing right. You'll do that. And then they'll come back with another thing that you're not doing right. So then you'll go around in this circle, and then you realize at the end of the day, you find out that they're stepping out. And then when they get caught, they tell you, I wasn't happy. And then they tell you why they wasn't happy. It's this. And
or, when a person say they ain't happy, or if a person get caught cheating, right? The first thing they want to do is bring up your mental. Well, it's not working out because you got this and that going on. And it's just like, well, pack your bags, they'll go to the door.
Right.
Because, I can accept a person saying, hey, you wasn't giving me what I needed. That's, when people say that in a relationship, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's being upfront, honest, and you can hold yourself accountability. Mm-hmm. Maybe I wasn't. In all fairness, when you sit down with yourself and be like, did I really give my all in this relationship? And when you can come to the fact to be like to say, nah, I didn't. Maybe I did in the beginning, but then I fell off.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that happens in relationships.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? Where you have to sit down and regroup and push the reset button. But, that's good, though, in a way, because sometimes you have to sit down at the table and do the reset button, because some things that probably work for you guys in the beginning, it's not going to work for you in the middle or the end.
Right.
You have to make change as you go along. Right. But if you with somebody who don't want to change or make any changes, it's not going to work. Red flag. Now, if you decide to stay in that relationship and deal with that individual because you say, well, I love them, you got to really ask that question. Do you really love them, or are you staying because of other reasons?
That's a good question.
You think about it, because you hear people do that all the time.
Yeah.
They be miserable as hell. And you be like, well, why don't you leave? Well, it's because, the kids and we just got this and that. No, why won't you really leave?
Because they haven't figured out a plan yet. And these are from, I've read a lot of stories, especially in narcissistic relationship. Those are the hardest relationship to leave. It's almost abuse, really, at the end of the day.
Leaving abusive relationships, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's hard too. And nothing in life is ever going to be easy,
Right.
But it's like, Nowadays, you have to learn how to put yourself first. If a person's not going to change for you, you got to go.
Yeah, you got to change for yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, a person's going to do, and the stuff that they do or do at you, it's hard to not take that personal. But at the end of the day, when you start doing your own work, you're like, this has nothing to do with me. Not one damn bit.
And if a person call you selfish for doing your own work,
let it go.
They haven't did theirs.
Yep. Or they're afraid for you to try to discourage you from doing yours. Because some people like you as how you are. But when you change, you change. That being said, we might have to do a part 2 on relationship. And the reason why I say that, because also in relationships, I hear a lot of talk of, my partner doesn't want to have sex. Well, mental affects your sex, no doubt. If you are not mentally there emotionally, it's going to be hard to do that. So that'll be our next part 2 on relationships. Till then, we want to thank everyone for listening, and please send us suggestions on what topics to talk about. And if you have any questions or have any comments, we're open. And just to let you know, this is a judge-free zone. So we do not judge. We do talk about uncomfortable conversations, but in order to do that, we got to get comfortable, right? So that being said, I want to thank everybody to the 293 Code Podcast. See you next time.
See ya.